Hey everyone, I am Brenna Mathis, Solar Incentive Administrator at Enertech Global. My role focuses primarily on overseeing the processing and verification of our Solar Renewable Energy Credit projects, also referred to as SRECs. As an aggregator for the Illinois Adjustable Block Program, ABP, it is our desire to ensure the success of all projects from start to finish. This video will demonstrate the necessary steps to create a disclosure form application on the ABP dashboard and get your solar projects off to a successful start. So here is some information you will need to get started with the disclosure form. You'll want to set up some login credentials for the Illinois Shines ABP portal. You can find that here at illinoisabp.com. You're going to also need to gather the project design information. This is going to include the estimated first year of annual production, which can be calculated via pvwatts.com or other software programs like Aurora or design programs such as that. You're going to also need the customer's contact information, including their full address, email, phone number. If your customer does not have an email, it is really important to get one set up due to the fact that the ABP requires this information. Also, the customer's interconnecting utility is going to be important to have, as well as the inverter manufacturer and warranty information, the module manufacturer and model type, as well as the warranty information, the total project cost, and the installer contact information. Once you have gathered all the needed items, you'll want to navigate to illinoisabp.com, and it should look something similar to what you see here on the screen. And you'll just want to go to select Login. When you log in, it is going to ask you to set up those credentials. Keep in mind your screen may look somewhat different as I am seeing this from a vendor perspective, but you should at least see a vendor tab here as well as an information tab. The information tab, we'll just take a quick look at this, is going to give you some overall information into the program itself, including the reopening update and being able to navigate you through the guidebook and any information that you need for the program itself. So you will see some program documents here, which are all very helpful for you. But we're going to start with getting this disclosure form set up. So you'll want to come to where the vendor tab is and where that's located, and you're going to go down to where it says consumer disclosure forms. Once you navigate here, you're going to have the option to begin a new disclosure form. So here it will ask you the type of form that you'll want to specify. Most of these will be the system purchase form. In some cases, they may differ depending on your situation, whether it's a power purchase agreement or a lease, or if you have a project that is larger than a 25 kW on the AC side. Otherwise, you'll just want to choose system purchase form, which is what we will be looking at for this video purpose. So after selecting the form type, you will need to type in the name of your project. In order to maintain consistency in the process flow between the ABP and GATS, which is the third-party production monitoring partner, it will be best to name the project as the REC owner name. For example, if the REC owner is John Smith, please name your project John Smith versus something alternate like Smith Incorporated. Again, this will make your project easier to identify and be consistent in the project verification cross-reference phase. For the sake of this presentation today, we are going to use customer named Solar McSolarson. He's one of my favorite customers. And once you have his name typed in, you can then select Begin New Disclosure Form. Keep in mind that this information cannot be changed. So the customer name that you just selected, once you hit Save and Continue, it will not allow you to edit that information. You will find that these other fields will give you the option here in a moment. It will give you the option to revisit each section once you have entered in the information so you can make any edits or necessary changes. It's just the customer name. they will not allow you to change. So once again, for consistency purposes, we are going to make sure that our customer name is the same. And just type that in right there. So Solar McSolarson. And he lives on 123 Sunny Street. We're going to say he lives in Energy, Illinois. And you will also need to enter in a good contact phone number. Keep in mind that the contract obligation is a 15-year term, and the adjustable block program may need to reach out and contact the customer from time to time, especially if they will be performing random audits or if they have any other questions. So it's really important to make sure that this information is accurate and up to date. For the customer's email information, I do understand that there are some customers that do not have an email address or they're just not super comfortable with technology. However, it is a requirement of the adjustable block program for the customer to have their own separate email address. So in the event that the customer does not have one, you may need to work with the customer to get one created, as the adjustable block program will not allow for the installer's email address to be entered here. Next, you will want to enter in the customer's electric utility. For this instance, we are going to use Ameren, Illinois. In some cases, you may have a co-op. Once you select the co-op, it will allow you to drop down more specifically as to which one it is. So we're going to go ahead and hit save and continue. Keep in mind, it will not allow you to go to the next field until this one is saved. So again, with this revisit area here will allow you to go back and edit that section should any changes need to be made. But you will need to select save and continue first before being able to make any changes or to go to the next section and then be able to go back. Next, it is going to ask for the system seller information. So this can be the installer information here, or if the materials are being purchased from our company here at Enertech, we can use Enertech's information. So this is already pre-filled for us here. As the vendor, again, mine looks a little bit different, but I do have Enertech's information in here. So we will go ahead and save that as the system seller. And then it's going to ask if the installer is known at this time. So keep in mind that if you do have a potential list of installers and you might not have selected one yet, you might be doing some price comparisons or looking through several different bids, you do have the option that you can enter in 3 potentials instead. Later on, when the project goes through the Part 2 verification phase, you will have the opportunity to list the actual installer that you ended up selecting. However, in this case, we are going to say yes, because in most cases it is known at the time this is created. Here we will want to enter in our installer information. So this is the installer's legal name here. If there is a name used for marketing purposes, it will give you the opportunity to list that here. Okay, so for this demonstration, we are going to say that our installer is Bob Builder, and here's his full address. He lives in Lumber, Illinois. And again, you'll want to put in a good contact number. Now they're going to ask you if the system warranty and/or maintenance provider is the same as the installer. In this case, we are going to check that box and say yes, and save and continue so we can go to the next section. Next, we have the system purchase information. So this is going to ask you for the overall purchase price. So let's just say for this example, the system is a $25,000 system, including the materials and labor. Now, depending on the arrangement that was made between the customer and the installer, there may or may not be a deposit due at the time of the contract signing. In this case, we are just going to say that the installer is requiring half of the amount of the project down to get the project started. And then you'll see here as well as if they're going to be charging an amount at the time of the start of the installation, as well as any final payments. So I'm going to say 0 here since they've already deposited half, and then the amount of the final payment due will be that second half then. The time the final payment is due is something that the ABP is not looking for a date here. They're wanting something more like at the time of completion or upon installation. You can put a number of days in here if you know that specifically. But again, I mean, if you want to estimate that number as well, that would be fine. For this, we're just going to put at the time of completion. The amount of any other intermediary payments for the system, in most cases, is going to be 0. Your situation may be a little bit different, so you will just want to enter that there. And then again, at the time they are due. In this case, we don't have any, so we could just say 0, or again, at the time of completion will be fine. And then answer this question here: is the PV system sale contingent upon selection for the adjustable block program? So this question is basically wanting to know if the system will be installed, whether or not they will be selected for the SREC program. We are just going to say yes in this case. And then we want to save again. Now we are on to the fee section, and this is again an arrangement made between the customer and the installer, so these can all vary. So you may have different options in here. If your payment is made more than, I'm going to say 30 days after the due date, the charge will be a certain dollar amount here, or late payments can accrue interest at, we're just going to say 10% annually. Again, this can vary depending on your situation. Moving on to the non-connection to internet fee, we are going to say this is 0. That is most commonly the case. They want to know if the system will be financed, for example, through a bank loan. I'm just going to say no for the purposes of this. The total cost to be paid to the seller, including any interest, installation fees, document preparation fees, service fees, or other fees. So if you did list any additional fees in there for the intermediary charges or additional, you'll want to make sure and add those to the total project cost. In this case, we didn't have any. So our total is just going to be that $25,000. Here we'll want to list all fees associated with the PV system. For example, interconnection fees, maintenance fees, etc., and the amount of each one and when it is due. In our example, we are going to say there is an interconnection fee, and we are going to say it's $300, and when it is due will be upon installation. And we'll go ahead and save that. In this next section, they're going to be asking you for the system installation timing. If you know the specific date, or if the project is already completed, you can go ahead and enter in those dates. Typically, if you don't know the date, and maybe you're waiting to see if the SRECs will be approved, all you'll need to do is make sure to try to select a date up to about 6 months from today's date. So when you click on here, you will get a calendar that is generated. So I am going to just select June of this year, and we'll just say June 1st, just to give them a rough estimate. And then I'm just going to pick the end of June for a potential completion date. Again, this can just be an estimate. It does not need to be exact. Then they will ask if the seller plans to furnish a mechanic's lien waiver to the customer upon final payment. Most cases in this situation will be no. The party responsible for submitting a system interconnection application to the utility in most cases will be the installer. The installer may have the customer complete the information. However, in most cases, it is the installer that applies for that. We'll go ahead and hit save. Now they want to know the system design specifications. So we are just going to stick to a standard system size of a 10 kilowatt system. We'll just say it's also a 10 on the DC side as well. So I'm just going to input that in here. For the estimated annual system production decrease, this is pretty standard at 0.005, and the expected life of the system is typically going to be about 25 years. The expected overall degradation over the life of the system, in most cases, is 0.15. For the system mounting, you are going to want to select if this is a roof mount or a ground mount. In this case, we'll go ahead and make this a roof mount. And then as well as the tracking, which in most cases is going to be a fixed mount. The estimated gross annual electricity production in kilowatt hours from the system in the first year. This can typically be calculated by using pvwatts.com, and it will be based on the system design as well as an average of the customer's electricity performance production. For this example, we are just going to say it's 16,000. Is the PV panel manufacturer known at this time? If you do not know what panels are going to be used, you will have the option to enter in 3 potentials. In this case, we are going to say that we know who they are, and we are just going to use Q-cell. So again, here are the inverter make and model known at this time. We're going to go ahead and say yes, and enter in Solar Edge. And also the model here, we're going to use this model for the 10 kilowatt inverter. We'll hit save. This information here, as far as the system operations, maintenance, warranties, and guarantees, is an arrangement made between the installer and the customer. So with this arrangement made between the installer and the customer, you will want to choose whether or not the operational upkeep, any type of malfunctioning, issues that are created, what types of warranty or actions will be taken as part of the contract. So is the system maintenance, operational upkeep included as part of the system purchase contract? In this case, we're going to say no. Are system repairs, actions required to fix a malfunctioning system, included as part of the system purchase contract? Again, we're going to say no. Is the system warranted against issues related to improper installation? On an average, most installers offer a year for this. So in this case, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say for 1 year. And who is the responsible party? You literally just want to type in their installer so they know who will be responsible for that. Do the solar panels come with a warranty? Yes, they do. In most cases, you will want to look to see online on their website what type of warranty they provide. I know that in this case here, we have a 12-year warranty. Does the inverter come with the manufacturer's warranty? Yes, it does. And this one was 15. Is the roof warranted against leaks from system installation? We're going to say in this case, Bob Builder is not offering any type of warranty against roof leaks. And what type of guarantee is the seller providing to the customer? We are going to say there is no system guarantee here. Okay, so after you have that information entered, again, you'll see the option to revisit each of these sections so you can go back and complete any of the information or make any necessary changes. For the additional terms and disclosures, if the home or business where the PV system is located is sold, what is required to transfer the system to the new owner? In this case, we just want to say that a new disclosure form will be created. So keep in mind, even though this is a 15-year obligation, the customer does have the option to sell the property that the array is installed on. It's just we will need to make sure that the paperwork is created and transferred over under the new property owner at that time, at that point of sale. So once we hit save and continue, you'll need to review the information. Again, make sure to go back and revisit to make any necessary changes. They will go ahead and create a form ID number for you here. Once you hit submit and download, this will give you the option to send the form via electronic signature to your customer. So all they need to do is click on the link in the email they will receive from the adjustable block program, and that will go ahead and create the project. So you'll see here the vendor tab, and we have a project tab. Once they sign the form, it will then change over to a project and have an application ID rather than just a form ID. And you will notice that change once they sign it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and for your interest in the SREC program. Should you have any questions or need further assistance, please feel free to contact our SREC team using the email enertechsrec@enertechusa.com.